number 1, write down your story. Detail in detail, as good as you remember it. Of course, with the time you will remember a little bit more, but you need to know basics of the story just in case you will forget something for later. Now, please take a piece of paper and pen. I will give you a couple questions that you need to write it down and answer for your story. And if you need, please stop the video to write it down. So, question 1. How did you end up at the timeshare presentation? Question 2. Who did you meet with when you were there? What were their names and positions? One of the most important questions you will be asked in the future is, why do you think your agreement is based on mispresentation? What were you told that is not truth? This question is very, very important. Just because if someone obtained your signature based on lies and got your signature on the mortgage agreement by fraud, or that's one of the biggest crimes. Now, next question. When did all this happen? Please remember the year, the month. Who was there with you? Where were you when you bought your timeshare? What papers do you sign? Do you have all those papers? Who was the notary? How long did the presentation last? What were you promised if you attend the presentation? What were you promised if you purchased the timeshare? How much money did you spend? What was your down payment? How did you make the down payment? Was it by check or the credit card? Does the company have your credit card number? How much are your monthly payments? How much are your maintenance fees, and how much were you told your maintenance fees would be? Were you told about all the fees involved in owning the timeshare? How much information did you get about your payments, the mortgage, during the presentation? Did you know your interest rate when you left? For me and my husband was a surprise, because we actually, at the end of the day, we were so tired, and when we signed it, we did not even were told that we're signing for 15% interest rate. We found out that later on when we start going over our paperwork, like detail in detail in detail. So please write that down and try to, remember. How long did it take to sign the contract? Are you sure that you have a copy of every single document that you signed? Did you apply for a credit card during the presentation? Were you given a copy of the application and all of the interest rate information, as I mentioned before? Did you owe any other kind of timeshare when you purchased the one you're complaining about? Were you aware of how the timeshare industry works when you purchased the timeshare? Were promises made to you concerning combining the benefits of owning the two timeshares? How many salespeople did you talk to? What did each of the salespeople tell you? What did salespeople tell you that is not the truth? How did each salesperson add the pressure on you during the presentation? Here, please be very careful with this one. Try to remember how many times they adjusted the price of the timeshare. How many times you said no and manager or another salesperson came up and tried to convince you that it's a great deal? Because for me and my husband, they started offering us up to $30,000. It's way out of the price league. So we went down to 25, then 20. They went down till we actually got it stuck at $8,000. Well, actually it was $8,800. So if you're over 65, then your story may be particularly interested to certain agencies. if fraud was involved in the sales of the timeshare to you. So if you're over 65, please let us know that. It's very important, and it's going to be, affected. Plus, the other question would be important. Was there anything in your life happening? Were you on any kind of medication that could have involved and affected your decision to sign the contract and buy the timeshare? Now, think of your story as if we're a beam on the light shining on a thief who is trying to hide. Because that is what we want it to become. And if we have lots of stories, our light becomes brighter and brighter. And it will become harder and harder to hide, and we will become louder. We will become, like I mentioned before, that squeaky wheel. We will be heard by timeshare industries, and most important, by the law enforcement.